Literally made a Molotov cocktail out of this water bottle full of gasoline. Full disclaimer, I'm not the best storyteller in the world, but this is kind of a story of something really crazy that happened, I think it was about 2.5 years ago, that because of kind of like legal reasons and scaredness of getting in trouble with the people that did what I'm about to talk about, has kind of stayed on the back burner. I'm into drifting a lot, and 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't used to get to go to the track that often. And we would get a group of people together and we would go take our drift cars, like 240SXs and Mustangs and whatever we had. And we'd go street drifting, which was primarily behind warehouse buildings, parking lots, and usually industrial areas, not necessarily on the street, but industrial areas where we could go have fun and do it in a safe manner and learn more skills, whatever you want to say. We're just doing burnouts in cars moving. So one of these days we're going to a street spot, maybe 11 p.m. And I remember we're rolling up maybe a group of 7 or 8 different cars, and we see what looks like a Zamboni in the parking lot. Like, kind of looked like a Zamboni, maybe a little bit like a street sweeper, just a really tall looking thing with headlights pointing right at us. And usually if you're going up to a warehouse parking lot to, go drift, you don't go there if there's parking lights or if it looks like there's another car there. So we go up, and as we get closer, it turns out that it's a rolled over Ford Expedition, like a brand new Ford Expedition, like the cool turbo one, like a really nice car on its side. So we're all kind of like, what? Everybody's pulling out their cell phones and, taking Instagram clips and little videos of this car that's rolled over on its side. And we start looking at it a little bit more, and there's a little itty bitty fire in the back seat. I didn't think the car was stolen at this point, but everyone else who's more intelligent than me was like, oh, okay, someone stole the car, went for a joyride, rolled it over. I'm thinking to myself, like, what happened? Like, why is this car like that? So I was confused, but they instantly, we grabbed our fire extinguisher, because we have fire extinguishers in our drift cars, and put the little itty bitty fire out, called the police. And, it was weird and scary. And we were like, oh, this is gonna be crazy to show this rolled car. Like maybe some kids are messing around with it. And, we started, or at least I started realizing the severity of the situation then, that, okay, this car's a main plate on it. It was probably stolen and someone probably tried to start it on fire. So we're at a crime scene right now, and we just called the police, and it's pretty sketchy because we don't know where the people are. Still wasn't really thinking that much of it, but in between the time of when we called the police and when the police showed up, car rolls into the parking lot, maybe a 1990s Civic, 4 dudes in it, all pretty young. Rolls up, no headlights on, which would normally be sketchy, but when you're going drifting, usually we roll up without headlights on anyway. So we thought maybe they came to see the car rolled over, and they start getting closer and a little sketchy, and they start talking to some of us. And I remember the words they said was, yo, you call 12? And one of my friends goes, yeah, we called the cops. And the dude goes, oh, that's my boy. And we're still like, was it his friend's car? We didn't still really understand the situation, what was happening. So this dude comes up, looks pretty sketchy, and he's got some marijuana leaf boxers on. He's got a nice little ponytail, and he's got he looked like he had like a water bottle full of beer or something. We're like still not really thinking that much. Okay, this dude's upset that we call the cops, whatever. So we kind of get back to our cars just to kind of get some distance from them. And that water bottle full of what we thought was beer was actually gasoline. And the dude had lit on fire like a towel or something, and literally made a Molotov cocktail out of this water bottle full of gasoline and blew up the Expedition in front of us. So we're literally, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 feet away from this car, and we just see it go poof up in flames. We don't even realize what's happening. Like, I was with a girl at the time who was like a little bit freaked out. Some of our other friends were like, oh my God, they just blew up the car. So in this situation, we had a car full of some of my friends that went after the people that blew up the car and got into a full-on road chase. And apparently one of the girls in that car started freaking out, so they ended up giving up. But the cops had showed up right after that. They had left and set the car on fire. So we've got cops rolling up. We've got like 8 cars that we wind up scattering like a Fast and Furious movie. I filmed all of this. I have a vlog of this entire day, but I was scared to upload it because of legal stuff. So it's now 2.5 years later, and it's the first time I've said anything of it. But I remember ripping by this car on fire because we were kind of like trapped on one side of the parking lot, and the gas tank exploding right in front of us, and just going by this car torched up in flames, and the situation, and realizing that, you know, maybe they wouldn't have ever hurt us, but, you know, we obviously called the cops on their friend that stole a car and blew it up. If they were cool enough with blowing up a car in front of us, like, what else? It was definitely a very scary situation, but I'd never seen a car blow up, so it was a little fascinating. And the story doesn't really have a great ending, because the cops basically come and say, oh yeah, this kind of thing happens all the time. They usually don't get caught. It's just kind of a thing, like, unless we can get a plate for them for something, like their car was probably stolen too, like they'll probably get away with it. It's harmless. And we're all shaken up. We've never seen anything like this, and here the police are telling us that this is just a normal occurrence on a Friday night. So that's kind of where it ended. We haven't heard anything since regarding those people, but it did get around back to us, because we had to file out police reports on the situation when the cops came and talking about it. And I guess one of my friends who had been in some YouTube videos street drifting, they made the connection once they had his stuff on file. And then we wound up all getting phone calls about not going to Orlando anymore for street drifting. So after that situation, I haven't really gone out street drifting anymore, because of A, being shaken up a little bit by that, and B, the fact that the sheriff of Orlando doesn't like us. We were there while the fire department was, hosing it off or whatever they're doing with that. And, we kind of stayed and watched, and we talked to the cops and filled out police reports and everything, but they were just very much so like, this is, like, they just brushed it off. And it definitely was a little bit eye-opening to think that that wasn't even really a big deal to them. But I guess there's people being shot and stuff. But that's when we did find out that car was reported stolen. And it was, I guess, a family from Maine that was in Florida on vacation. I think it had been stolen from like one of the amusement parks or something. And I don't know. I mean, I guess they took it back there to go do donuts or mess around with. But watching like a bunch of criminals blow up a car in front of you it's pretty like...
We'd like to thank Vincero Watches for supporting VINwiki this month. Vincero makes bold, stylish, and well-priced watches out of exceptional materials, and there's a link in the description below for a discount. So check out their website and find the watch that helps make the statement that you want the world to see.